Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are watching this video, you've pretty much already figured out that this is where I am now. Started a new channel. My old channel got erased through no fault of my own. Ended up deleting my Google Plus account, and unless you know exactly what the ramifications are of that, I thought I could skirt my way around it, and apparently there is no skirting around it. So my old YouTube channel is currently gone. Now I have all of my old 1v1 interviews that I have that I'm going to be posting onto this channel. I have a handful of other interviews and stuff, other videos that I'm going to post on this channel. Amazingly enough, my Kirk Cousins series and a lot of the other updates I'm going to be uploading to this new channel, but all the other stuff is pretty much gone. I usually don't keep that stuff. I probably will now for backup purposes, but this is pretty much the new channel, and this is the way it's going to end up playing out. I've got everything set up pretty much the way that it should have been set up to begin with, so having to start all over on YouTube is not exactly something that anybody really wants to do, but for those of us that have been around long enough doing this, it happens to a lot of us. So this is it happening to me. I've had two major setbacks this year already, and this year's barely even started, so I'm really looking forward to what's coming up here in the future. So without further adu, ladies and gentlemen, I will bring you my next guest on One-on-One. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of my one-on-one interview series that I have going on my channel. This particular interview is one that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. It is with a profound sense of humility and awe that I get this individual on my show. His work I have admired from afar. The first things that come to my mind when I go to describe this individual as a person is his personality, his knowledge of what it is that he is doing, and the automatic respect that that commands. When I first got started doing my channel, within the first 2 or 3 episodes, I had an individual who was a fellow Redskin vidmaker that reached out to me by the name of Louis T. I'm pretty sure some of you guys know him and his work on his channel. But one of the very first individuals that he told me about was this man that I'm interviewing today. And he told me, he says, if you really want to know how it's done, you're going to go check out this guy's channel and see what it is that he's doing. So I went over to his channel. I'd have to admit, if I'm being honest here, that was the first time that I honestly felt about giving up on being a YouTube vid maker. I was in such awe with his channel, what it was that he was doing over there, that I thought to myself that this is exactly what it is that I want to do on my channel, and there's no way that I'm this good. There's no way I could come up with this stuff, and there's no way that I could get it up to that quality. Ladies and gentlemen, he is not necessarily setting the bar for us vid makers. I would consider him the bar. He is the bar. He has a lot to offer his audience on YouTube, not just the stunning visuals, the great audio, and all the aspects that come into his video making. It's also the cerebralness that he brings to his channel, the informative information that he brings to his channel. His knowledge of the game is only matched by his love for the people who play the sport at its highest level. This is probably one of my most daring interviews on one-on-one. He's at the very top of my list. When I first started doing this, he was a guy that I wanted to strategically place in my interview repertoire, but then all of a sudden life happened, and it kind of postponed me a whole year. Well, here we are. This is pretty much when this interview was supposed to take place, so it is with a profound pleasure that I introduce my next guest, Big Q from TeamBoydTV. Q, bud, thank you very much for joining me here on One-on-One. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure to be here. And that intro was just, oh, my goodness. That was, I appreciate all of that. And, shout out to Louis T. We hooked up a long time ago, had him on our show a couple times. He's a genius, by the way. He is a complete genius. And, and so his approach to the YouTube world is completely different from mine.
Yeah.
But on the level of knowing the game inside and out, that guy is unmatched, right? But yeah, I've been waiting on this for a long time. We said that we were going to do this last season.
Yeah.
Again, like you said, life happened, things happen, but we're getting it done right now, and it's great, right? And it's so good to be here, man.
It is. Thank you very much. So, as an individual who may not necessarily know anything about you, if they were to stumble onto your channel, how would you describe your channel? What it is that you do over there?
Oh man, the channel has evolved over the last 6 years. So we've been doing this we're finishing up our 6th season. What we started out was me and my wife. Well, actually, if I'm honest, right, this whole idea of TeamBoydTV is her idea. One day we were sitting around and she was like, "Oh, if you've seen the show, she is crazy with the football.
She
You know
is.
what I mean?
She absolutely is.
Her
She
only
knows what she's
drawback is
talking
that
about too.
absolutely her only drawback is she's a Giants fan. But beyond that, beyond that, we sitting around one day and she was like, I would really love to do a YouTube video thing on YouTube. And I was like, well, listen, if we do it, we can't be like everybody else. We're not just going to turn the camera on and just talk about the game. We're going to present it in a way that has never been presented before. I want it to be when you see Team Boy TV, I want you to think that you're watching television.
Yeah.
If you're watching ESPN or NFL Network, the desk, the full studio, everything. The audio has to be tight. Music, advert, commercial breaks, all of that. I wanted to do it that way, and I had to think to myself like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
How am I going to do this? You know what I mean? How
Exactly.
am I going to do it? So that took some kind of manipulating, and I had to study and figure out things. And I drew a lot of my inspiration from what I saw on TV. I wanted to present it just like that. And so the first couple seasons we did, we recorded it. The show wasn't live. We would record the show on Tuesday nights and put it up on Thursday. And we would just do our thing. And then it is great because we never operated with a script. Every week, whether it's me and my wife Vernie or if it's me and my homies Glass and JB,
Yep.
we meet up 15 minutes before the show, we hit live, and we go. So everything is nice and organic, and it's unpredictable. It's you never know what you're gonna get. And so for me, my approach to the game was, look, we all love the game, and it's obvious. You can see all the cool people on YouTube doing this, and it's great to be a part of this community. But some people, they are super serious about it, and other people are super passionate about it. We wanted to kind of approach it from a barbershop style, kind of way.
Yeah.
For the first couple seasons, when we introduced Team Boyd TV Live to the lineup, we didn't reveal who our favorite teams were. We just kind of just came on and talked about football, and we didn't reveal any of that stuff. And then it was only until a couple seasons later when we kind of started, letting people know which team we represented. And that kind of took a life of its own. But either way, I wanted it to be funny. I wanted it to be insightful. I wanted it to be engaging, right?
Definitely.
So that's what I was looking for. I wanted to put something out that's different, but we all talk about the same stuff, all of us, right? So I wanted to just give the audience something different, So yeah, you may have listened to Louis talk about what he was talking about, or maybe Psychopath talk about what he was talking about, maybe The Voice saying what he was saying. But I want to give you that same information my way.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be funny, and I wanted to be exciting, and I wanted to be cool. So that's what you get. You click on a Team Boy TV video, expect to be entertained, because that's what we want to do. We want to entertain, but also we still are a football-centered show.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But I definitely want the entertainment piece to kind of be the first thing that people notice.
Excellent.
And that was the whole plan.
Excellent. So take us back here a little bit. Give us a little bit of a history here. How did you become a Carolina Panthers fan? I'm pretty sure, I already know the answer to this question, but to the audience here, how is it that you became a diehard Carolina Panthers fan?
Well, you know what? It's a simple answer, right? It's that I grew up in Carolina.
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town in South Carolina called Rock Hill, South Carolina, and we had no team. And those days growing up, I loved football so much, but I couldn't latch on to a team. I would root for players. I was a Jerry Rice guy.
Yeah.
I was a Emmitt Smith guy. I would just root for guys. And then, in 1994, they announced that a team was coming to Charlotte. And I lost it. I absolutely, I said, what? I don't care what the colors are. I don't care what the logo is. I don't care. It's here in Carolina. That's my team.
Yeah.
And I latched on.
Excellent.
From day one. That's where I've been. So, and I know it sounds weird, like Carolina Panthers fan. That's so odd, but it's something I can call my own. You know what I mean? Like, I'm from here, and and it's my team, and and I feel super attached to it.
Yeah. So you obviously have a great knowledge of the game. You're kind of a student of the game. You know what it is that you're looking at. You know what it is that you see, and you definitely convey that in some of your videos. Was this also something that you intentionally tried to do on top of the passion that comes with the sport of football? Was that something you also wanted to try to convey on your channel?
Absolutely. It was, it just sometimes I look at, stuff on the internet, and, you have people who do certain things just for attention. And then you have other people who kind of, when they speak and they talk, you automatically just lock into it.
Yeah.
And, I say, listen, as much as we want to be entertaining and we want to crack the jokes and, we want to clown the NFL and all this kind of stuff, there are other things that happen in the NFL that, sometimes there's serious issues come up. I felt like if we were going to address these things, you know, the comedy stuff, we could just pause it for a minute and let's really figure out what's going on and let's really, give our honest, educated, opinions on it, right? So I don't want to just like talk about stuff and it's all opinion. I got to go and find out what's really happening. The scandals and stuff rocked, the Carolina Panthers a few years ago. I was one of the first ones that was completely honest about it. It's like,
Yeah.
listen, this whole Greg Hardy crazy stuff, I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it because I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. I'm going to deliver the story because I've done all the research. And,
Excellent.
and that's the way I wanted to approach it. So me and the fellas, or even with, with Vernie, if we're talking about a topic, trust, we've done the homework on it.
Yeah.
So.
And the cool thing about that too, I don't know if necessarily a lot of fans see this for what it is, but television has a narrative, and if you fit a particular narrative, especially if you fit a particular profile as a bad guy in the NFL, then a lot of these different networks tend to stick to that narrative because they think it sells. What we do here on YouTube, and definitely what you do on your channel as well, is you give your opinion as a fan. And sometimes a fan's perspective is not the same perspective that television wants you to have, that maybe there's something else going on that you want to take into consideration. Maybe this guy isn't as bad as a person that is that people have made him out to be. Case in point would be like a Deshaun Jackson. When we had picked up Deshaun Jackson, the word on him was that he was a gang member, he was hanging out with his old buddies, he was into this, he was into that, and nothing could have been further from the truth. The guy actually ended up being an upstanding individual for us. He hasn't done anything to warrant anything that came in with this reputation. And there were some fans who came out and said, hey, he's nothing like that. We don't know what the media is talking about, but this is what we see when he's played for the Eagles. This is what he's going to be like in Washington. So sometimes that perspective from a YouTube vidmaker is unique when it comes to the difference between television and what you see online.
Absolutely. I can give you two examples. I remember we had two really controversial shows last season. One was with the Eagles wide receiver Cooper when that whole situation popped off. We did the show. Now, and honestly, we got together before the show and was like, listen, we're going to talk about this, but let's like take the gloves off. Let's just be completely real about it and transparent. So I remember that show so vividly because the audience, like, and it's a live show, keep in mind, right? This show is live. And the audience was so split. Some of them were kind of understanding where we were coming from. Other people, it depends on your demographic and where you come from and what you think. And we respect everybody's opinion. And then another one, and I remember this one because this one was crazy. The Adrian Peterson story had broke.
Oh yeah.
And we did a show on the Adrian Peterson story, and and we took it from a perspective of being and growing up black, right?
Yeah.
And so getting handled like that by your parents was like it wasn't like we were brushing it off saying it wasn't as bad as it was. We were just saying that we kind of thought that people were kind of blown out of proportion because black kids they get popped. That's what happens. And oh my goodness, it was crazy. Like that show, I remember that one so vividly because the audience was eating us alive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was crazy, but that's that's what we do. And I mean, it depends on the perspective. Like I didn't grow up in the same place as I can remember one of the guys who got super upset about the show was a dude that I'm really cool with. It's a fellow Carolina Panthers fan, and they run a cool little channel, Cat Chronicles. We kind of was split on this whole thing, and we didn't see eye to eye. We still remain friends. It was just that we disagreed on this topic.
Yeah.
And and like I told him during the show, listen, I respect your opinion. We come from two different backgrounds. I see it this way, you see it that way, and ain't nothing nobody can do about that. That's just the way it is. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned that your wife and you were the ones that pretty much were the genesis of this channel. That she was very much into it. Let's take a little bit of a shout out to your brother here. Your brother's gotten involved. Somebody who is a diehard Ravens fan. Was this something that you had to kind of convince him to do, or did he definitely want to get in on this? Describe to us, if you will, how that whole thing came about.
It was wild. So me and Vernie had been doing TeamBoydTV Game Time for a couple seasons, and it was getting some traction, and people were kind of digging what we were doing, and so I was like, listen, this was back when Game Time wasn't live. We filmed this on Tuesday nights, and so I was like, listen, I want to do a live interactive show, and this is what TeamBoydTV Live was born. Now, as much as I want to give Vernie credit for Game Time, Live was my idea, right? I wanted to incorporate Twitter. I wanted to kind of get the fans' reaction. At one point toward the end of the season last season, we even had live telephone calls that we were doing, right? It was crazy. But I had to think about who I wanted, because I know I couldn't do the show by myself. So, Glass is like a long time. Like, me and him, we hooked up so many years ago. And, so I knew he was down, right? He was down. But we needed a third person. And my brother had never done anything on YouTube before, right? He dug what we were doing and he loved the shows that we did. Yeah, I had to convince him. I had to actually talk him into, I had to sell him on the idea of coming on board and being on the show. And you know what? Honestly, now that I think about it, these many years later, the show, it can't work without him. Like his personality and what he brings to the trio is irreplaceable.
I agree completely.
The show
Great
just does
chemistry
not work
there.
without him. Absolutely. So yeah, we had to kind of sell him on the idea, and when he came on board, the inner star in him kind of wanted to shine. Like he loved being in front of the camera. He loved the interaction he was getting from the audience or whatever. He just took it upon himself to create JB the character, and it's really hard to separate JB the character from the real JB because they're so close in personality. But the character JB that you see on YouTube, he kind of likes to antagonize people. He would say certain things to invoke reactions from people and things like that. And people either loved him or they came and watched the show just to hate on him, right? And it was a beautiful thing. So we loved it. It was nice. You know.
Excellent. So, like I had mentioned before, as far as your passion for the sport of football, you could tell. Honestly, it's very, very obvious in the content that you put out there on your channel that you are passionate. On top of the fact that you are knowledgeable, explain to us where this passion comes from. Where's your? Do you have any background in the sport? Where does this love come from? Other family members? How does that work?
Well, me and my brother JB and my younger brother who doesn't do anything on YouTube, we all kind of dabbled in football coming up. My brother JB was really he was the most athletic out of all three of us, so he was the one who really kind of got a little further than me and my younger brother did. But just being around, it was just always something that we done as kids, like played football in the field and came home dirty with grass stains all over the place. And it's just, I don't know, for whatever reason, football, it embodies like the American spirit to me. Like it's a full team sport, and we know now that you have to have a complete team in order to really succeed in the NFL. To see that aspect of it, down to the coaching, how they game plan, how they scheme, and how serious that is.
Yeah.
Versus like when you get down to the individuals, then you have the one-on-one matchups. Like we love talking about the cornerback versus wide receiver matchup. All that's intriguing to me. You know what I mean? Like the broad part of it is just super. I mean, everything from what they're doing with the commissioner and how they're moving teams around and building new stadiums. Like everything about the game it intrigues me. I think it's I used to be a big NBA guy back in the day. Back in
Me too.
back in the day, everybody was Michael Jordan, all that stuff. But then when I saw the game kind of start to when free agency, and I made a video about this and it was really cool. How when free agency hit the NBA, I lost interest in it, right? And I felt like the same thing was happening with the NFL. But then, I kind of started seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I understand. But, the NBA I lost interest in it because it just seemed like, the further we got along and all these new guys came in, the weaker the game got to me. Like it wasn't as physical. It wasn't as exciting to me. Watching people stand at the three-point line shooting threes all day, that's boring in my opinion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't like that.
Especially when they miss.
Absolutely, right? So I got into the NFL more and more and more. And it wasn't just, like I said, because, I've only been a Panthers fan for 22 years, right? So the Panthers came along recently. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
Very recently.
So I had to see the whole game. And now we can see it a little bit better than we could back in the day because we only see 3 games every week or whatever back in the day. But, I watched them all, and I knew every player and I knew what was going on every team. And it was just something that kind of stuck with me until this day. And I think it pays dividends. Saying that, yes, I'm a complete loyalist to the Carolina Panthers, but I also am loyal to the game. So, yeah, as much as I love my Panthers, I love the NFL more. You know what I mean? So if the Panthers disappeared, I would still be an NFL guy. You know what I mean?
I think where that comes out is your knowledge about other players, whether it's transactions, whether it's free agency. It's very obvious, at least to me, that whereas my expertise is mainly with one particular team and maybe some players in the surrounding division, but beyond that, I really don't have all that great a knowledge of a lot of the players. You, on the other hand, I can definitely tell that somebody can mention a free agent, you have an opinion on that individual, like you've got a fairly good knowledge of who they are as a person. So that I think is what makes us strong vid makers. If you have that knowledge of the NFL and the teams and not only that, but the players that play in the positions that they play, that's just going to make you an even stronger vid maker.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree. And and as much as much as it looks like I'm super articulate on the videos, I have to give a lot of the research stuff to Glass. Glass is our statistician. He goes and he keeps records of things that, like, a lot of times we don't even know that he's keeping track of certain things. Like, he just put out on his blog page yesterday, as a matter of fact, our preseason predictions. During the preseason, during July, we go through every single division, every single team, look at every single schedule, and we predict what's going to happen in the season. And he actually pulled up a report and had it all. Like, he put this on his blog page yesterday, and I was amazed at what he put together. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. I didn't even know you were doing this. You know what I mean? And then I was also amazed at how close we were. And then we were way off on a lot of things, but for the most part, I think we nailed it. You know what I mean? So that was pretty good. But yeah, I gotta get shout out. Like, it's a full, like, the four of us together is it's a magical thing. Like, everybody brings something different to the team, and I think Glass had getting that information for us without us even asking him to do it. It's just something that he does, and he's really good at it. It's amazing, and then having JB come in, and JB is the real opinionated one, right?
Yeah.
And and it's my job to kind of keep him under control, and kind of, so all I really do during the show is to pace the show. That's my job. I just pace the show, and I set this up, and I set that story up, and that kind of thing. It's JB and Glass really who provide the substance to the show. Yeah. And on game time, Vernie is just completely out of control. Now, as much as I can control what happens on live, when I'm with her on Sunday mornings, she's off the leash. I can't, I can't do nothing about that, But it makes for a really good show. It makes for a really, really good show. And the fact that she's a woman and she has that kind of knowledge, it surprises a lot of people. When people find us for the first time, because now we broadcast live to Periscope, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We broadcast live to all these different places, and people are just kind of picking up on us, and they're like, "Who is this chick?" Yeah. And she's like dominating the conversation, and she's super passionate about all the things that she's talking about, and you can't prove her wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if she says something, trust you can take it to the bank. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that dynamic with the four of us, I think I couldn't ask for much more. You know what I mean? Like, I love all of them. And we are a complete team, and I couldn't do this without them. I really couldn't.
Excellent.
So I love my like it's never about me. Even though I'm the one who does all the talking all the time. People want to do interviews, they want to interview me, but it's really them. They carry this whole thing.
It's a great It's a great foundation. It really, really is. Absolutely. You guys work really, really well together. So taking a look back, Jerry Richardson announces his bid for a pro football team in '87, and then your guys' first season began in 1995. You guys came in with Jacksonville Jaguars. Describe to me, if you will, being that you actually are a fan of a fan base that can go back and actually remember this particular period in time, what was the atmosphere like in Carolina when you guys found out that this was actually going to become a thing? And what did this franchise mean to the people after, like what you had mentioned earlier, there was no team in Carolina? What did that mean to the people in your area?
Oh, it was amazing. I remember the night that they actually made the official announcement, and they lit the buildings up with the words NFL, and they showed the jerseys off and all this kind of stuff. It's so indescribable, like how much it meant to the people in this area, right? Yeah. Because we look around, and I'm telling you, like, this place is like, I remember for the first maybe 9 seasons in Carolina, whenever you went to Bank of America Stadium, the visiting team's jerseys dominated. Like, I mean, it just recently stopped doing that. You know what I mean? Like, it was really bad. But for the people who latched on to the Carolina Panthers, man, it was hope. And the fact that they came out the gate smoking, right?
Yeah, they did.
They came out the gate smoking, and they go into the NFC Championship game in their second season. Look, we were beside ourselves. It was amazing. And then a couple years later, we make our first trip to the Super Bowl, and that I can tell you was the wildest experience ever. For me. And of course we lost. And then, of course, last season was a nice little trip to go on, too. And it ended in disappointment as well. But at the same time, the build-up in the city is always great. And whenever we make a run like that, it's always just, like, ecstatic. Like, it's amazing. The city's electric. And they put on, like, they gravitate so much toward the Carolina Panthers. Like, I mean, the city, the government, everybody. You see, like, and the players themselves, like, they are so approachable. Like, you see them in weird places. You could walk into Macy's one day, and and they go Jonathan Stewart. You know what I mean? And they're so approachable, and the fact that they are so cool with the people, I think it made it easy for. I mean, even if you go back to back in the day when you had Mike Mentor, opening up the light rail line and riding on the train with all the people. I mean, it's just it's been that's been a standard in Carolina since the beginning, except for one or two cases of the Kerry Collins and the Ray Caruth and the the
Yeah,
Greg Hardy stuff. It's little anomalies here and there, but
yeah,
for the most part, the standard has been way high, and
good.
it's been great.
Good. Now, kind of going into the the process portion of this interview. This has been one of probably the most intriguing aspects of your channel that I wanted to get into. Describe to me, if you will, the elements that are involved for putting together a show on your channel. I realize that there's different hats that you were wearing, and there's different aspects. Whether it was just you. I've noticed there's times when you have actual studio production. There's times where it's just a green screen effect, or it's kind of like what you got right now, barbershop
Yeah,
style. I mean,
yeah.
describe the different elements that go into play and into what it is you do over there.
It really depends on what we're trying to convey at the moment. Sometimes a story will break or something will happen, and I feel like I have to address it while it's fresh on my mind.
Hmm.
And you will see me show up, and it'll just be me sitting in front of the camera, and I'll just be talking about the story. Other times, if I'm trying to promote something, you may see some flashing lights and green screen effects and some weird stuff if I'm trying to promote something. And then as far as the shows go, like I said, they have well, game time has evolved because we used to, like I said, we used to record the show and produce the show,
Yeah,
and get into the live aspect of it was different because in my mind, making videos for all this time, I was thinking about what I had to do after I shot the video,
yeah,
right? And then when we moved into the live production, it was like the reverse. You have to set all this stuff up before you go live. All your cues and your graphics and the Twitter feed and all that stuff. You have to think about all this stuff
and that's a
before you go live.
process.
Right, absolutely, right. And then once the show starts, not only am I the host of the show, I'm also producing the show. You know what I mean? I'm also pacing and moderating the show. I'm checking the chat and the Twitter and all this stuff. And so that's the reason why, like, a lot of times I rely on JB and Glass so much during the show is because I'm doing all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, and I make it sound like a super complicated, process, but I've been doing it for so long that I can still have a lot of fun while we're doing the show.
Hmm.
While I'm working really, really hard, but you see me doing it with a smile on my face,
Yeah.
looking directly into the camera. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's one of the cool things about what it is you are doing over there, because there's several vid makers that are out there that have a little bit of experience going live. And it isn't until you actually do that, you take that first step, that first leap, or if you've done it for a certain period of time, you kind of understand, all of the things that you're juggling at once to get that off the ground. And then you go onto your channel and see what it is you're doing with the personalities you have at play, the responses, like you said, on Twitter, and keeping everything in motion. And realize it's kind of coming down to one person, making sure that all those elements are coming off at once. It's, if anything, if there's any word I can describe, it's intimidating.
Well, it is. I joke with my team all the time, right? Especially JB and Vernie, right? Because they really this is what they do. They show up and they get on camera and that's it. Now I carried the bulk of the weight. Glass is contributing, by doing his thing, but JB and Vernie
Yeah,
just show up. And I tease them about that all the time. But you know what? They're the biggest personalities in the team, so I don't bother them too much about it. But that's the thing. Like they contribute in a way that's not like how me and Glass do it. You know what I mean? It's a different type of contribution. Like they contribute on camera while the show is going.
yeah,
Me and Glass, we're kind of doing the pre-prep work and we're trying to get everything together. We're making sure our information is correct and our stats are good and all this kind of stuff. So it's different. And and like I said, like it's when we first started doing it, it was intimidating. It felt like a lot. And then I started finding out different ways to make to simplify the process. I would just like every season, my thing was, and everybody told me I don't have to do this, but I do it anyway. Every season, I redo the set for game time. I build a new set from the ground up.
okay,
For live. I redesign the backdrop so I present a new, fresh
yeah,
product every single year, right? And people's like, oh no, you don't really have to do it. I'm like, yeah, but I feel like I have to. I feel like if we show up looking the same way we looked last year, it doesn't show growth. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
started incorporating stuff like Twitter, and now we can get the live viewer all to comment into one place.
hmm,
So if somebody's watching on YouTube and they make a comment, somebody who's watching on Facebook can respond to it, and so on and so forth. And that's been great this season, right? And so I would just keep on integrating these little things here and there, and it just made the show stronger and stronger and stronger. So now when you look at it, you're like, wow, especially if you see where we came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we do this every off season. We would go back and we'll look and we always study what we did the prior season. We'll break down every show and we'll look at it and we'll be like, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't do that next time. Maybe, we can trim this
Okay.
part off. Maybe we don't need that segment or whatever, and that kind of thing. And so, I'm always constantly critiquing myself. And I
Yeah.
think that's what pushes me to do better every year.
So would you say that there is, and this is something that I've just observed in your channel, but I'm finding this fascinating that this is an undertaking that you do on your own as far as redesigning your backdrops and presenting new elements each season. Would you say that there's just a creative side of you that has to be satisfied in doing this that needs to kind of express itself as well?
Absolutely. And
Because you're
the
very
thing
good
is,
at it.
yeah, it's the thing. Like my first love is music. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I have another YouTube channel that I do a lot of
Oh.
creative stuff on. I
Hmm.
do a lot of creative stuff when I make music. I do like I've done produced mixtapes and stuff for people. I have
Yeah.
and that all the creative stuff that you see
Hmm.
is stuff that I do anyway. Like, because my first love has always been music production. I'm into that really, really heavy. I'm
Yeah.
a super duper hip hop head guy. And, Dr. Dre is like my idol,
Uh-huh.
right? And so that's where you see the creative stuff come from. And that's where you see how I want things to be done a certain way and I want to be presented a certain ways because I look at the people like Dr. Dre. He's not going to put out garbage. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He takes a lot of pride in his
You know,
work.
Absolutely, and that's the way I approach it. And so, since I like to do graphics and shoot videos and make music and all that kind of stuff, I just like, well, you know what? I'm gonna bring that stuff over here and jazz up this YouTube, this NFL stuff. Let's present it in a way that ain't nobody ever even expected to, right? So a lot of
Yeah.
people get together and do little podcasts every week, and it's great, and I love it. I watch it too. But if you look at one guy's podcast, and then that one is done, and look at the next one, it's hard to tell them apart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell them apart. But the next video that comes up is a Team Boy TV video. You're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Like, this is good, right?
I've been that guy. Trust me.
Right. So that's the way I approach it. So yes, the creative part of me has to be satisfied every year. So like I was saying, like we getting ready for the season. I start preparing for the season right when the season is over, right?
Okay.
So I give myself about a month to break, and then I'm back at it, right?
You're
I'm
back
putting
at it.
together the intros and I'm grabbing the footage and I'm putting together all these packages and all this kind of stuff while everybody else is chilling waiting on the draft, right?
Yep.
So then the closer because for us, the football season starts in July. Right, so
Yeah.
we start very early. So I have to get on it pretty quickly, and to satisfy that creative nerve I have, it bothers me. Like I can't. It's hard for me to kind of just be satisfied with old work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have to constantly see and push myself to make it bigger and better and bigger and better. And that's why we get a new look every year. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
You know?
So where would you say that your knowledge of this stuff comes from? Do you have a background in this, or is this something that you kind of self-taught yourself, or how did this happen?
Well, most of the stuff is self-taught. I look at certain people who present their channel in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You got people like Louis, who was amazing at what he does, and you get drawn into what he's saying. It doesn't matter what he got going. I remember one time he had like a whiteboard and a pointer, and he killed it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then I look at other people like the big homie, the voice 2525. And if it wasn't for his personality, nobody would watch him, right? He has nothing else popping. He ain't got I remember he dabbled in editing one time, and it was a complete and utter was like voice. Fall back on the editing. Just do what you do. Turn the camera on and be the voice, right? And you know what? He maximizes on that because people watch him because he's very entertaining. His personality, it comes right through the screen, and that's the way he presents. So people I take little bits and pieces of all of that. And so like nothing that we do on Team Boyd TV is original.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I take bits and pieces from everything. I know my biggest inspiration comes from TV, but I do take a lot of stuff from what I see on YouTube as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing too, because sometimes like you said, some people just film it on their phones. That's one thing that the voice does. He's just on his phone, and he can actually do a video where at first it may be noticeable, but then all of a sudden it's not noticeable anymore. You forget the fact that he's on a phone, and that personality does jump out. So that definitely can go a long way as far as being a vid maker goes.
Absolutely. It is amazing that people can do that. And like I said, the more power to him. Whatever gets you to where you want to be. You know what I mean? Like, and him being like that has gotten him interviews on radio stations. Videos posted on on different high-profile sports blog sites and stuff like that, by him just being himself. And you know what? Kudos to him. You know,
Exactly.
kudos to Louis for doing what. Kudos to Cat Chronicles for doing it and presenting it the way they do. You know what I mean? Like, I can't knock nobody for the way they present things. It's just that I know for me, I don't want to. I want to stand alone. I don't want, as much as I love what these other guys are doing, I don't want to be another one of those. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I don't want to be
exactly.
a carbon copy of that guy. Yeah, I might take a little something from you, but uh, I'm not going to be just like it. You ain't got to worry about that. you
Yeah.
know.
So, assuming that there are other vid makers out there that are watching what it is that you're doing and feel inspired to do that, not necessarily exactly what you're doing, but to come onto YouTube and start a channel, what advice would you give to those people that are looking to getting started?
This is what I would say. Now, you know what? It's funny because people ask me this. Like, it's funny how many DMs I get from different people or people just emailing me and saying, "Hey, listen, I love what you do. Like, I want to do something like that. I was been thinking about doing. I just don't know how to approach it."
Yeah.
And this is what I tell them because this is what happened to me way back 6, 7 years ago when my wife first came to me with this idea. And I was like, "Okay, sounds cool. Let's do it,
Hmm.
but let's do it a different way." And I knew what I wanted to do, right? I knew how I wanted the show to look. I knew how I wanted it to sound. I knew exactly how I wanted it to feel and be presented. And I stuck to it, right? So if you want to do something, that's what I tell people all the time. If you want to do it, it can be done. You just have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's always a way. It's always a way. We live in a world of technology where you can do whatever you want to do. You can do it however you feel like you want to do. Just figure out what you want to do and do it. Like, just stick to that. It's like, listen, if you wanna have fancy graphics, figure out how to make those fancy graphics. You want transitions between the scenes, figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
You want music, figure out how to get it. If you can't make it yourself, figure out how to get it. Like, stick to it, and don't settle for, well, I really wanted to do this, but this is what I'm putting out. No, don't do that.
Hmm.
Because I would never do that. Like, I look at what we do, and again, I'm my biggest critic. Like, I don't think that the rest of my team critiques the product as much as I do.
Yeah.
I watch so much Team Boy TV that is crazy. I watch every show. Believe this is the truth. I watch every show at least twice. At least
That
twice. I watch it immediately when we're done with it,
I do the
and
same
then I
thing.
watch it. I might watch it again a day or so later.
Mhm.
And if you don't watch your own stuff, because I know a lot of YouTubers, they tell me all the time, man, I make my videos and I don't look at it. It's for them. It's for the people. It's not for
Yeah.
me. But you can't get better if you're not. You have to look at it through your potential audience's eyes. Like,
Yeah.
I look at everything. I look at the stuff that we say, how we say it, when we said it, how I showed this, when did I bring this in. I look at all that stuff, and I feel like if you can't be real with yourself and be like, listen, this is garbage. You know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
you can't be real with yourself, then what? Think about what the people who actually watch this. What are they gonna say? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's what I would tell people. Like, know what you want to do, even if you think that it's high and it's something that you possibly can't do. You can.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's saying that you can't do it. You just have to figure out a way to do it. Just like I wanted Twitter on the show really bad. I had to figure out how to make that happen because
Yeah.
they do it on TV. If they can do it on TV, I can do it. You know what I mean? I had to figure out a way to make that work. And it's like we started with Google Hangouts, and I didn't like the way it was one big screen, and I couldn't have multiple people on the show at the same time, and that bothered me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had to figure out how to make this be presented the way I wanted to be presented, and I found out how to make it work. So I would say, figure out what you want to do, stick to it.
Hmm.
You might have to do a whole lot of research. You might have to spend a little bit of money,
Yeah.
but if that's what you really want to do, stick to it and do it. And it's always a way.
And that's great advice because I think just about everybody that I've interviewed, I ask pretty much very very similar, if not the same series of questions, and that's one of them is how to make your start. And almost all of them have said the exact same thing. You just got to go out there and do it. If you've thought about doing it and if you wanted to do it, then you'd be doing it. And the information's out there to be had. It's not you just got to know where to look for it, how to look for it, and just be persistent about it. But
That's right.
one of the things that I think that holds a lot of people back is kind of negative criticism. And I know just about every vid maker that's out there, especially one that's been around for 6 seasons, you guys have been doing this for. I
Yeah.
mean, what advice would you give to somebody as far as handling that negative criticism?
Wow. You know what? In the beginning, I would say this. I fell victim to listening to what people would say in the comment section,
Yeah.
or people tell us how much we suck, and it's you know what? I fell victim to that. And as somebody who makes product or something that is to be consumed by people that you don't know,
Yeah.
you gotta understand you're not gonna hit it every single time. Some people are just not going to like what you're doing.
Hmm.
And I'm telling you, like when we decided to go live, I told the team, I said, listen, this is about to be crazy because now people got the free reign to say what they want to say while we're on the air to get a genuine reaction from us right away. And so, what we did to kind of combat it, like we would joke about it. We made it into comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So somebody would say something weird in the comment section, and it depends on which one of us saw it first, right? And we would attack. We would attack it. We would kind of address it real quick
Yeah.
and make it into a joke. And I would tell people, be careful what you say on the stream because you don't want it with JB, right?
Yeah.
And then Glass grew some teeth over the last couple seasons or whatever. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And I try not to be the one because I can go off on a tangent or whatever, right? So, and that's the way we handle it, right? And also respecting people's opinion. So
Yes.
if they genuinely think that we're not as good as we think we are, that's their opinion. We have to accept that. But then you also have people who just do stuff to do stuff,
Yeah.
and those people I don't even give time to. I just completely dismiss them. We don't even
Yeah.
address it. If you
I think
troll me,
that's
I
important.
don't have time for you.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I think also there's a fine line between criticism and critique because I
Yeah.
think one of the things that's important as a vid maker is that sometimes we may take things as criticism, but in all actuality, we should take a look at it as more of a critique that maybe there's something here to look at that I maybe need to improve upon.
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you something. We were doing the show last Sunday morning. Not last Sunday morning. Yeah, last Sunday morning, as a matter of fact. No, actually, the Sunday before. And we were, this is we were covering the championship games, right,
Yeah.
or whatever, right? So it was only two games or whatever. So me and Ronnie doing the show, and then the guy on Periscope was all like, uh. There's two good games that's getting ready to happen today, and y'all talking about Andrew Luck. Because the reason why we're talking about Andrew Luck, something had happened with the owner fired the general manager,
Yeah.
right? So we were talking about current stuff,
Yep.
and so I saw the comment pop up, and this is the way I addressed it. I was like, listen, I don't come to your house after everybody done had dinner. You invited me to your house for dinner.
Yeah.
I show up an hour and a half late. Y'all already done ate all the good stuff, and I'm asking you where the chicken wings at. They gone already. You know what I mean? You missed that part of the show. The
Yeah.
show started at 10:30. You should have been here at 10:30. And
Yeah.
that's the way I addressed it, right? And he was cool. We ended up laughing about it, me and the guy. And I got a new fan. It was cool.
Yeah.
I understood where he was coming from. He was excited because it's Championship Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about Andrew Luck. You know what I mean? I get it. I completely understand.
So what are some of the things you can communicate to some of the newer people out there as far as some of your pet peeves when you watch a video and you
Mhm.
see some of the stuff that a lot of these vid makers are doing? Is there anything that kind of stands out to you that a lot of these guys are doing that you kind of want to say, hey, maybe you want to think of something different? What are some of the things that kind of irk at you a little bit?
Well, this is the thing. Like sometimes, you have to kind of look at it in context first. You know what I mean? Because one thing that I don't like as a football fan, number one, is and I understand that there's a whole community that does this. I just don't like fans who go on YouTube and they shining their team up and and that's great. But why you got to attack? Like, let me give you an example. The Dallas Cowboys had a fantastic season this year.
Yes, they
I'm not
did.
gonna take anything from what they done. Carolina Panthers had a fantastic season last year, right?
Yeah.
And I look at the two seasons, right? In comparison, Carolina fans, for the most part, were just happy about what Carolina Panthers were doing. The Dallas Cowboys can't take solace in the fact that their team is on a run, a fantastic historic run with two great rookies and all of this kind of stuff. They're not satisfied with just that.
Yeah.
We got to talk about these other guys too. Like that I don't like that, but I understand what that's about. I get it. The other thing is when I look at more serious shows or podcasts or presentations, I don't like when people take things too serious. Like the NFL is it's just like I'm a big WWE fan. I
Yeah.
love the WWE, and I look at NFL the same exact way. These guys do things for entertainment. Like there's characters. There's Josh Normans and you got Tom Brady and all the stuff that come with him and his character and all that. And if you take it personal, I can't. I lose interest very quick.
Yeah.
When you take this kind of stuff super personal. Listen, we all watching the same exact thing. I see what you see.
Yep.
But why are you taking it so personal, bro? Chill out.
Coming from a Redskins fan, you're asking for a Cowboys fan to gain perspective, and that's just not going to happen.
I understand. I completely get it. I get it. And I had to come to grips with that. You know what I mean? I was just in awe by it. Like I look at Facebook and I'm like, listen, dude. enjoy what's going on right now because this don't happen that often. Trust me, I can tell you, we were on fire last year,
Yeah.
and we stunk the joint up this year. Like it
Yeah.
goes away just like that.
Exactly.
Enjoy,
It
you
doesn't stay
know,
long.
it doesn't. So,
So
I just like this. This does enjoy your team. Just enjoy your team.
exactly. So you had mentioned earlier that you go back and critique your. That was going to be one of my original questions, as far as whether you're one of those guys that just kind of puts your videos out there in the nethersphere and never goes back to it, or whether you critique your work. But you had mentioned you watch every single video on your channel at least twice.
Yeah.
Now, taking a look at those at that process and how you critique your work, and talking about the importance of going back and critiquing your work. Are you also, what type of a critic are you? Are you pretty harsh on yourself, therefore you try to strive better? Are you pretty easy on yourself? How are you on yourself as far as what it is that you're critiquing?
I think for me, I'm really harsh on the product that we put out. I'm like extremely harsh. Like I'll be talking about certain things that happened in a previous episode with JB or Glass,
Yeah.
and they'll be like acting like it's not a big deal. It's okay, don't worry about it. I'm like, no, this can't happen. We can't do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what I'm looking for is ways to, because you know what, nothing, nobody, anybody puts out on YouTube is perfect. Some stuff is really
Yeah.
pristine and really nice, but I guarantee the person that created it can always go back and say, listen, this is where I messed that up at, and this is
Yeah.
where I should have did this, and and so on and so forth. And and if you're not striving to be the absolute best at what you do, then why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Just to be a player in the game, that ain't good enough for me. Like when I'm sitting there watching the show and I'm looking at what I'm doing, I'm looking at what JB's doing, I'm looking at what sometimes JB, like his character and his personality and his projection is so intense that like his facial expressions like will take you out of what's happening. Like sometimes like if we talk about something that he's particularly not interested in, I have to take him off camera. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it shows so strongly. And it makes people think, oh, this guy's bored. What is he doing here? You know what I mean? Like, so I would take him off camera. You know what I mean? And so, and that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So, like for him, he may not notice that. He might not even know that's happening.
Yeah.
Right? Because unlike them, I'm watching the stream and I'm watching the reactions and I'm watching what's happening and I'm watching everything. And so I'm looking for stuff like that. So we can't be looking like we don't want to be here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and if we say something that's kind of, I feel like it may be dismissive to certain people or disrespecting a person's opinion or something like that, I'll address it. Like, listen, that ain't the way we want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I ain't saying we got to be like yes men to everybody, because at the NFL got 32 teams, there's 32 fan bases, millions of people. No, but nobody in the NFL community can agree on anything, and that's just the bottom line, right? So,
true.
it's just best that we just respect each other's opinion, and so those are the things I'm looking for. I'm also looking for things that, because I know how the show's supposed to go. I know what's supposed to happen at certain times. And if the timing is bad, or if one of the elements fail, or whatever the case may be, I'm looking for all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm looking for in my videos. And sometimes you have to watch it more than once to see it, right? Because you were there and you know what happened.
Yeah.
It's easy to kind of miss it. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I'll go into the living room, put it up on the big 65-inch, sit back, and I would just break it down. Sometimes I rewind things back. I keep, it sometimes take me like 3 hours to watch the video, but that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So the next time around, I can avoid those things,
Exactly.
and it makes the show better.
And you tend to fall into certain habits when you're putting on a show, and your mind's doing one thing. Even as a host of this show, as I've got an interviewee who's explaining a question, I'm trying to think of a couple steps ahead, like what a host would normally do. But if you kind of go back and critique, sometimes you can catch pitfalls that you're doing, and you try to train yourself to do different things as that process is going on. Those things definitely help, and you go back and critique your work. So taking a look at this experience, and that's exactly what this is, this experience that you've had in doing this whole process. How would you say that this process has changed you as a person?
You know what? Believe it or not, I know people, every time I talk about this, people don't believe it. But believe it or not, I was not the most outgoing guy. You know what I mean? Like, to get up in front of people and speak is just something that I just wasn't really good at. And weird, and another weird twist of fate, for the most part of my life, I was in retail sales, right? So, my job was to talk to people and to convince people to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
And as we been going along with this TeamBoydTV thing, and especially since we took it live, that part of my life has improved dramatically. Like, it's almost like, talking to people it's nothing. It's even though I can't see my audience on YouTube, I can feel them. I know they're there. I know they're watching. I mean, it shows up as a number on the screen, but still, I know they're there, right? And and they can make just like with JB had to kind of get out of his mode because he hadn't done stuff on YouTube like that before. And Glass was a little bit static with a lot of stuff he was doing because the stuff he was doing on his channel, Glass is a facts guy. You know what I mean? He wants to be correct. Anything that comes out of his mouth has to be 100% correct.
Okay.
And you know what? I love that, right? But he can be a little static, and then I saw his personality start to develop and stuff like that. And it's because we're in front of a live audience every week, and sometimes sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. You know what I mean? And it actually improved that aspect. And also doing this, I've met so many cool people. I've met some of them I met in real life, at the games and stuff like that. Being part of this NFL YouTube community it's so many crazy personalities. Like, and it's so weird how you can watch these dudes go at each other's jugular. Like, it's almost like they can't stand each other. But then you will see a picture of them together at the game, and it's like, this is all love. You know what I mean? And I've met a lot of these guys and, got inspired by a lot of people. I've got a chance to inspire other people, and we learn from each other. And I think it's been great. The whole journey has been amazing. Again, I came in contact with so many people and been able to build a really nice network of people. And met people like I feel like Glass is like my best friend. We've never met in real life. I've been to Chicago a couple times, but the last time we was in Chicago, he wasn't there. He was in St. Louis. You know what I mean? So we can never really meet up. Never met the guy in real life, but I feel like he's like one of the closest male human beings that I can feel like I can call a friend. Yeah. And I never met him in real life. Met him in real life.
And that happens when you have online personalities, when there's people that you meet and you socialize with, the personality that you are online. That's not all that unheard of. And you're absolutely right. There are several situations where you have individuals online that are at each other's throats. Then all of a sudden you see another video posted where they've actually met in real life. And like, this guy's actually pretty cool. I think at the bottom line of this is that we're all lovers of the same sport. We love the sport of football. We may like different teams and have different interests as far as the players go. But at the end of the day, it's football. If your favorite player retires, you're going to be on to somebody else in another season or two. At the end of the day, it comes down to football, and that's where that camaraderie actually starts. That's really, really cool to see. So where does the future take you from here? What's in the future? What's in store for you?
Well, I feel like we got set back a few years after the whole YouTube debacle. So basically, to sum it up, it's like went into a whole long story. We were doing really well on the original TeamBoydTV channel. I think at one point we were close to 20,000 subscribers. We were killing it. And then, of course, when you're doing numbers like that, you draw attention from other people who want to pimp you out, right? So, the first deal that came sliding in my inbox, I looked at it, I presented it to the team, and we were all super excited about it. We're probably going to make some money doing this. And, I pretty much signed away all our rights to everything that we created for 4 seasons, right? We didn't have control of none of the content that we created, and what they were paying us was just it was garbage. So couldn't get out of the contract. So all the only thing I could do was just trash the channel and make a new one. So that was 2 years ago. We kind of hovering somewhere close to 1,000 subscribers now, which is like nothing compared to what we used to be. So I feel like we took a couple steps back, but in that process, this is what I learned. I learned that I have to work harder now because we got to bring the audience back, and I think maybe that success came like that because the guys who we were under contract with were manipulating the numbers a little bit, kind of inflating things a little bit to make us feel like we were really doing stuff like that when we really weren't. Because I feel like if I told my audience that I'm creating a new channel, go subscribe to this new TeamBoydTV Turbo channel, and if all 20,000 of those people were really TeamBoydTV fans, they would have came over. Only 1,000 of them did. So what did that tell you, right? Right. So dealing with that frustration, but I took my mind off of it because we were having so much fun doing what we're doing. JB told me one day because we was talking about it, and he was like, "Man, listen, I do this every week because I love it." Right? He's like, I'm not expecting X, Y, and Z to happen. We have so much fun doing this, and we get to touch so many people and interact with so many cool people. I love doing it, and and then so we had that conversation, and I started feeling the same way. So eventually, the end game is to have TeamBoydTV a recognizable, thing where people think, football coverage on the internet. They think of TeamBoydTV. That's the end game. And it's gonna take a while to get there. You just gotta fight the good fight and just love what you do. And I mean, some days we do a show and we got 5 live watches, right? Other days we have 50. I mean, it's just like ignoring that and just like having fun doing the show, doing what we love to do, presenting the show, and having that good camaraderie that we have when that hour and a half or hour that we're together. and that's what we do. So eventually, I want to get to the point where, we kind of putting a dent in some numbers. I kind of want to make a little bit of noise. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? But I'm not rushing into it because I think that this little setback just sharpened my skills a little bit. It made us hit it a little bit harder. It made us take what we were doing a little bit more seriously, right?
Yeah.
And I think at the end game, whenever whatever is supposed to happen, the people who are gonna make that happen will see a really pristine, polished product. Like, because I think as much as other people may say our product is polished, I look at it and I don't see that. It's always room for improvement in my eyes, right? It's always something I can do better, something that I can
Absolutely.
do bigger. So, but I think, whenever we get to that point and we finally get noticed by someone, because, what, me and Vernie was talking about this one day, that I would love for somebody like the NFL Network to think and look at the internet and see what we're doing, all of us,
Hmm.
and say, well, listen, what they're doing on the internet is amazing. Like, let's get these fans who are putting on these crazy shows, let's put them on TV.
Yeah.
Don't change the product.
Yeah.
Just let it be the same. Like that's my dream, to have a show on TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to be.
That would be a good thing. I honestly I am of the personal belief, just based on stuff that I've seen on television, that I honestly think that there are organizations out there that work for some of these newscast stations that actually pay attention to what it is. You'd think that they would have in order to gain a pulse of the fan base. You would have to. I mean, YouTube is such a huge thing. They would have to be going on here and paying attention to what the fans are actually doing. So where are some of the different places that fans can find your guys' work?
Wow, we are spread out pretty much everywhere. The home base is still going to be youtube.com/TeamBoydTV Turbo. That's the main hub of things. There's also facebook.com/TeamBoydTV. You can find us on Instagram, instagram.com/TeamBoydTV. We broadcast live to Facebook. We broadcast live to Periscope, periscope.com/TeamBoydTV. Of course, if not, follow me on Twitter. I'm at TeamBoydTV. And my boy JB, he would love some followers, because his Twitter got messed up and he had to start over this season. So you can hit him up at Ravens Shogun,
Okay.
right? And then of course there's Vernie at VernieB 73, and then Glass, of course, at Get With It Sports. And that's how you can contact us, and how you can, no matter what platform you prefer, there's a Team Boyd TV show on there. So if you're a Facebook person, you can watch it on Facebook. If you're a Twitter person, you can watch it on Twitter, Periscope, so on and so forth. So we pretty much are pretty much everywhere, and real easy. And I pretty much will respond really quickly. If somebody, they tweet me, DM me, hit me up on like Instagram or Facebook, I respond, really, really quickly. So, and I mean, even if they just want to pick my brain about something, I have conversations with random people like that all the time.
Excellent. So moving on into the final questions of this interview here. These are questions that I ask all my interviewees. So first question, who is your favorite player on the Carolina Panthers of all time, and who is your least favorite of all time, and why?
All right, so my favorite player of all time as Carolina Panther, just retired. It's Agent 89, Steve Smith. We'll go down in history, unless something really crazy happens in the near future.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everything about Smitty just personified. That's why, I was one of the ones who was heartbroken when Carolina couldn't reach a deal with this man,
Yeah.
and let him go to Baltimore. And I'm going to tell you, this is why I respect Steve Smith so much. 11 years that he put into Carolina, was the man here.
Yes.
Shortest dude on the field, scrappy, he fought for everything he had. And then when the thing didn't happen with Carolina where he could stay, he went to Baltimore and made that his. He became a Raven. He just shed his whole entire Carolina persona and actually became a Baltimore Raven. And you know what? You got to respect that.
Yeah.
And I respect. I just hope that he retire in the black and blue, and not the purple. Right? So we'll see. We'll see. And one of my least favorite Carolina Panthers of all time, and this one is a toss up. But I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it's a toss up between Steve Berline and Kerry Collins. I'm not a huge Cam Newton fan either,
Yeah.
but he would. You know what? If I sat here and said I thought he was the worst player, I would be kidding myself, because he did so much for this franchise. He gave us our first breakout bona fide superstar. And as great as Smitty was, he never reached that plateau.
Yeah.
And Cam did.
And
So
Steve Berline was a great quarterback. A lot of people don't know that. He was a very good quarterback.
Yeah, he was. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Kerry Collins came with his own issues or whatever. And I don't know, when you have personal stuff going on, it just takes so much away from what everybody – because, the quarterback can't win the game by himself. I've yet to see that in the NFL. I've seen some quarterbacks do some amazing things, but they need the other players to help them out. And when you start alienating your brothers in the huddle, you can't expect to do well. And that's why you go 2-14 or whatever the case may be that season. So I can't get behind him.
Yeah.
I can't get behind him at all. And so there are other guys like Ray Caruth and and I can't even say I hated Greg Hardy because I was actually a Greg Hardy fan. I used to work at this Best Buy downtown Charlotte, and I would talk to him all the time.
Wow.
I thought he was the coolest dude ever, right? And I was just surprised that I'm not surprised because I know the guy. I talked to him on plenty of occasions, and he's a certified lunatic. But I'm just saying, right? But I liked him. He was cool, But so even though it was some bad apples that came through, I still think that that Collins was probably going to be the one that I would say, in my opinion, kind of hurt us the most. You know what I mean? As far as like what we were able to do and dividing the locker room and stuff like that, and kind of making the city feel a certain kind of way. And we all Panthers fans in the city, and because of Kerry Collins saying some of the things that he's saying, some of my people who I thought I was really cool with, just kind of the kind of climate is here in the country right now. People who you've been knowing for years. When this whole, like, not to get political, but the whole Donald Trump thing come up, we see what's really going on, right? Yeah. And that's how it was with Kerry Collins back in the day.
Yeah.
And, he was like, wow, I thought you were my boy, but this is how you feel, and that's the way you feel.
Yeah.
So, I would put Kerry Collins up there as, like, he was the Delhomme guy. A lot of people will probably be booing me for that, but whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Delhomme took my team to the Super Bowl for the first time, so, hey. He's my man. There you go.
So, who would you say is your favorite player that's on the current roster, and which one do you think is the player on the current roster you think your team could probably do without?
Wow, that's a tough one, man. Because you know what, the team is not really made up of a lot of big name superstar type of guys, right? And it's like there's no Smitty now, so I can't say like I'm super behind one guy. Well, I can say this. Like, my favorite player right now got to be Thomas Davis Sr., right? Okay. It's a toss-up between him and Luke Kuechly, right? And the only reason why I would give Davis the nod over Kuechly is because he's a little bit older, and I feel like he got a little bit more wisdom and stuff like that. And Kuechly's a beast, and I love the guy to death. Got a chance to meet him a couple times as well. And he's amazing, but I think, as far as being a leader, keeping things at a place where it's able to be contained and controlled, I think this team does not... especially if you take each season into account, where there's a lot of dance and a lot of dab, and there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. We're taking pictures on the sidelines, and it's like a lot of people said a lot of things about the Carolina Panthers, but because of people like Thomas Davis, it didn't spiral completely out of control. We didn't have people doing Facebook Live, streaming Facebook Live in the locker room while Ron Rivera. We didn't have stuff like that happening. So that lets you know that somebody was in the locker room keeping everything at a certain level. So TD, my man, I think he's got to be my favorite Carolina Panther right now.
Okay.
And then I guess, somebody who we could probably, do without. I love everybody. So it's like you actually have to say, like, it's tough. You know what I mean? But there are some people, look, I'm going to take the easy way out of this, right? I'm going to say somebody like Michael Orr, right? Because what? Even though people rag on our receivers all the time, I love the spirit of Ted Ginn and Corey Brown, and Kelvin Benjamin. And to see what that team was able to do last season without Kelvin Benjamin, who was supposed to be like the superstar guy there, it was amazing to me. It shows you that, if you come together the right way, you can achieve some amazing stuff. So, I would say, one of them offensive linemen, man, Michael Orr in particular, and maybe, our rookie, cornerback from this season, he got a bad taste. The Bradbury got a bad taste in my mouth right now. But it is what it is. But I think, he's a rookie. He'll come around. So we'll see.
Okay. So let's say, for instance, with my next question, that the actual owner, Jerry Richardson, loads up this video and is going to watch your response. What message would you have for him coming from you?
Wow, you know what? I feel like, Jerry Richardson is the type of owner who I'm glad that we have him. Number one, the whole thing in the beginning when Cam first came here, and him wanting to select Cam because of the no tattoos, no piercings, he had to behave a certain way. At first I was a little taken aback by that, but then I see what Cam has become, and maybe now I'm seeing the potential that they saw when they were thinking about drafting this guy, right? Mm-hmm. He has put the Carolina Panthers square on the map. 3 years ago, 7 years ago, people wouldn't have talked about the Carolina Panthers the way they talk about them now. Yeah. And I think that was a good move. So at first I was a little bit, worried about it. But this is what I would say if I had some FaceTime with the owner. I would tell him that, I, I appreciate everything that we've done in the last 4 seasons or whatever. There was a couple of decisions that were made in the last 2 seasons that I just particularly didn't care for. The Josh Norman thing obviously was one, and the Steve Smith thing obviously was another one. But beyond that, I think that that we at a place as Carolina Panthers that we can bring a championship here in the next 2 or 3 seasons if he continued to support the team the way he's been supporting it, in the past.
Yeah.
If the team needs something, he's been pretty good about supplying that. And people will say, Carolina's cheap or whatever the case may be with the people that they bring in, but the people that they bring in they're usually pretty good. Peanut Tillman is pretty good. They brought the guy from New Orleans. He was pretty good that season. And the guy from Minnesota. So you bring him in, and I think the choices that they make are really good and on point. We just need to figure out, and this is what I would say to Jerry Richardson. You might need to pull Cam to the side and tell him, listen, man, this hat stuff and all this weird stuff. You might want to calm that down a little, because I don't know who would be the one that Cam would listen to. Because obviously he's not listening to people like TD and people like that. Maybe it's because him and the owner got a great relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe the owner got be the one to be like, dude, you need to bring that down a little bit. So like I said, I'm not the biggest Cam Newton fan, but it is what it is. But that's what the owner would, if he was looking at me, and I would let him know that this is a guy who's been a Carolina Panthers fan since before I even saw what we were going to look like.
Yeah.
You told me that a team was coming to Charlotte. That's all I needed to know. Mm-hmm. And I've been down since then. And you know what? And it's hard. And I would tell him also, don't be pulling no moves like they did in St. Louis and what they're doing in Oakland and what they're doing in San Diego. We can't afford that here in Charlotte. Like the Panthers better not ever go nowhere.
Yeah.
Like they let the Hornets slip up out of here.
Yes, they did.
Luckily they got them back. You know what I mean? But whatever. We can't do that. So that's the one thing. Like the Panthers should never ever go nowhere. Because like the people here, we love the Panthers, man. Like it's, Charlotte is a place that's got a mixed population. People come from everywhere to come here because it's a transplant city. Mm-hmm. But the people who come here normally they flip over and be Carolina Panthers fan, and the people who are already here, they absolutely love the Carolina Panthers, man, and they have to stay with us. And we've been here through the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
We supported the team, so I think the team should support us. And that's the way I look at it.
Good deal. So obviously your franchise doesn't go back that long. So there's probably
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people that still remember a lot about the recent past of the Carolina Panthers. So let's kind of shoot forward into the future a little bit here. If we were to go forward, like say another 20 years, and you have an entire generation of Carolina Panther fans who don't remember, the 90s, the 2000s, and even today. How would you describe to that future generation just what type of a player your favorite player, Steve Smith, was to your football team?
Man, I would tell them, like, number one, check the footage, because there is nobody who played with as much heart mm-hmm. that I can think of. I mean, there's some gutsy guys in the NFL, but when I think about somebody with his stature, 5'9" or however tall he was, and being able to do the things that he's done and lead a franchise and receptions and receiving yards and stuff like that, being a short guy like that, going up against some of the most ferocious DBs in the league, yep. and dominating them physically, mentally, all of the above. Wouldn't let anybody tell him that he was less than. Yeah. And if you want to, I think if any kid want to take inspiration from somebody, that's the guy to do it, because the dude has the biggest heart in the world. Listen, yeah, he's passionate. Yeah, you know what? When you feel a certain type of way and you feel like you've given everything to somebody, and then they kind of just be like whatever, you're gonna say some hurtful things. I didn't take the things that Steve Smith said personally. Yeah. I really didn't, because I understood where he was coming from. But at the same time, he is one of the most influential, most physical, you play with the most heart Carolina Panther in history. There's nobody who approached the game like him. And that's what check the footage. You got to go look at it. Because you know what? You can talk about Steve Smith all you want to, but until you see the footage, you don't fully grasp what was really going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely true. So, hey, Big Q, buddy, appreciate you very, very much for coming on the show. It's a huge honor of mine to have you as a host, and I appreciate the time.
Oh yeah, not a problem, man. It was an honor. It was great. And it was cool being able to take a trip back down memory lane and relive some of the stuff that we went through over the past 6 seasons. That it was cool to kind of like relive that. That was great. I appreciate what you got going on here, man. Like I said, this is something that I've been anticipating for a while. and that kind of thing, and just to share my story, and you
Yeah.
know, and let people know that it's like it's really not as glamorous as everybody think it is. You know what I mean? Like it's it's just who we are and who I am, and it's like a lot of my personality into our product, and it's not I'm not a really super complicated guy. I'm just a fan, man. We love my team and love the NFL. That's all. I can talk NFL all day with anybody. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for coming on, and that's gonna do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to do it for another episode of One on One, as I interview yet again another internet personality who utilizes their unique style on this platform that we call YouTube. So if you are watching this video and you have an interest in starting a channel of your own, sub up, cam up, load up, and join the family that is the NFL YouTube Vid Maker and get started today. Your favorite professional football team is looking for individuals just like you for your support. So hopefully you've enjoyed me, you've enjoyed my guest, and hopefully that we've together inspired a unique perspective to help you get started on your journey that might take you into the next stage of your next YouTube channel. So that's going to do it for me on Burgundyflyguy. We will see you all next time. We'll see you.